Okay, so this lesson that we're going to be doing is part two of our 1 point perspective. Part two of our 1 point perspective. In this class, we are going to be adding more details to our 1 point perspective. You have to follow closely because we are going to be adding some shadings and soft shadows to the composition that we have drawn before. Now class, I want you to follow me as closely as you possibly can, and just pay attention to the steps that we are going to take. Alright, so let's get it. Okay, so here we go. Now one of the first things that we're going to be doing is that we are going to be shading, um, starting with the road. We're going to be shading the road, and I'm going to be using one of my darkest pencil. Yes, I'm going to be using my 8B, but I'm going horizontal. So what we want is that we want here to be the darkest point, and as we go along we are going to be shading from here being the darkest point, and then as we go in the distance we get lighter, right? So we keep it horizontal, right? So we're going to be shading here being the darkest point, and as we go along in the distance we get lighter. Right? Keep your pencil, remember now, use your darkest pencil down here at the bottom so you can get this part of your drawing, because this creates distance. Remember now, this is your value scale, and getting from the darkest area, and gradually you get darker and darker. um, you go up, remember the lines that you have there, um, they are not going to be there anymore because you have done drawn them lightly. Keep your pencil horizontal, do not change the direction of your shading, please and thanks, but keep your shading in a diagonal, in a kind horizontal manner, across, straight across, not slant, leaning the pencil here or there, but as you straight. And then the aim of this exercise is to gradually get from a dark here, gradually to light. It must change as you go along. You ease off the pressure of the pencil, and you gradually get lighter. Right? And after this, we're going to aim for the trees, the body of the trees, but we're just going to give it one shape. The aim of this is, I shade it kind of diagonal. um, I'm going to be using my like a 4B. If you have one pencil, then you'll have to use that, and I'm going to shade all of this one shade, but I'm going to be shading the first tree, um, the darkest. Then as I go in the distance, I'm gonna get lighter. So watch me now. We're going for the body of the tree firstly, and we are gonna shade the body of the tree in one tone first. The nearest tree to you must be the darkest one. Then as you go in the distance, the trees are going to get lighter, because as things go away from you, it gets lighter. The closer the objects are to you, is the darker they will appear. Notice I kind of shade mine in a kind of diagonal fashion. Keep your shading in one direction. Please don't be all over the place with the shading of your trees. Keep your trees in one, the shading rather, in one direction. You probably can turn your pencil a little bit if in the smaller areas you will have to turn your pencil to get the a bit more accurate. But keep your toning in one direction. Alright, keep your toning, and remember now you want the trees to be darkest closer to you. The ones that are closer to you must be the darkest. As they go away in the distance, they will get a little bit lighter, and it must be obviously so. Alright, it must be obviously so. I'm gonna add the branch. We didn't have any branch here, so I'm gonna add some branch onto this here tree. And onto this one, just add the remainder branches. Wider down here, as we have said before, and don't make sure the branches aren't placed the same position, one up, one down. Alright, make sure the branches one up, one down. I'm going to make a little bit of the tree chunk appear here again, and possibly round about here. You can always create a spot for that. Alright, just adding on the rest of our branch. There you go. But this now is the touch where we want to add some detail to this. Alright, so the trees get darker. So if this one here wasn't dark enough, then you can darken it a little bit more. Put on some branch here as well. You can always come back and watch the video again just to see where you are with this. Okay, so here I go. One of the things that I want you to notice as well to make the tree appear, remember, as it goes on the leaves, it gets smaller in some areas. One of the things, to the shadow of the tree, I'll show you that. Just let's get this done. Yes, lighter as they go in the distance. Let's get this part of it in. So we are coloring all the trees. you go along, just watch me. You might not hear me talking because it's the same thing that we're doing, just making sure that the trees, we are going from a dark to a light at first. Here, same thing onto this one. Going from a dark to a light. And as I said before, you must get progressively lighter as you go in the distance with the trees. Very important that you remember that one, progressively lighter as you go in the distance with the trees. It must be obvious that the trees are getting lighter as they go in the distance. So if this one looks as dark as this, then you have to darken this one a little bit more, because that is how you want it to appear. That the first one is darker than the one after. Not only is it darker, but it is also bigger in size. Very important that you remember that. It's darker and it's bigger in size. Very, very important. So it's darker and bigger in size. As it goes in the distance, it gets lighter. But the ones that are closest to you must be bigger in size. So let me say that again, just in case I said earlier the wrong thing. The closer ones to you must be bigger in size as well as darker. As they go in the distance, they get lighter. So this one down here will be a little bit lighter than the ones before. And if you have a range of pencils, what you could do is that you use the lighter pencil, which are your smaller number. So this for me is like a 2B, and this darker ones I use like a 6B. Alright, that is if you have it. If you don't, you just have to apply your pressure, a little bit more pressure to your pencil in order to get the difference. So I'm going to create a little bit more, show a little bit more difference. So this one I'm going to be darkening it just a little bit more again, so that I definitely have it. Now one of the things that you can do, on the way you have the leaves of the tree, you can make it a little bit darker, where you have the leaves are covering the tree trunk. So right under here could be a little bit darker because the leaves cover them down, so it can appear where the leaves are covering down to have a little bit more darkness to it, where the leaves tend to cover the body of the tree trunk. Yes, right under here. Yes, you could do it a little bit darker. So it's telling that the leaves are covering down the trunk of the tree, and you have to remember it must be the darkness must be relative to the distance as well. So it must be, if it's far away, then that darkness is going to be the relevant to the distance that it is. Alright. Now you can always come back and make sure that you darken the tree. If it's not dark enough, it must be different from this one. So this one must be darker than this one, etc. Alright, the closer they are to you, the darker they are. I want to make sure that you get that. Very, very important that you get that one. And we're not thinking about putting in now where light is coming from. We just want to give the tree a particular kind of shade just to make sure that it appears to be the closest one to us. So this one will appear to be the closest one to us, so it will be the darkest one. Remember again, keep your shading in one direction. Alright, now we are going to do the leaves. Alright, very important. We are gonna do the leaves. Let me get the root of this tree. Yeah. Alright, so we are going to try the leaves now. The same thing with the leaves, but we are going to make the leaves a little bit same direction. Keep them in one direction. The leaves must appear to be darker. The ones that are nearest. Notice I'm keeping it close to me. Notice how I shade. Just give me the same kind of feeling with the shading as well. Alright, the same kind of feeling with the shading. You can use your darkest pencil for this one. The leaves do not have to be the same as the same color as the tree. It can be just a little bit lighter than the tree. Keep your shading just like I'm doing here. Don't try to make it too neat. You might defeat the purpose. Don't try to get it too neat. So that's one of our trees. So you have the darkest tree, one closest to you will be the darkest one. You want that to be obvious. Alright. If it's a little bit close to the body of the tree, that is fine. We're always going to make the tree still a little bit darker than the leaves. So the body of the tree, we are going to make a little bit darker than the leaves, than the tree trunk, that is. Okay, remember the line, you don't want any lines now going around the leaves. The lines were firstly there to just show where the leaves are going to be. Be careful now not to put any line going around it, please. Alright, just follow the video. Do not follow yourself. Follow this video that we're doing. Alright, keep your shading in one direction. Almost there. Keep your shading in one direction. And remember, each tree leaf as well must be lighter than the next, the nearest one to us. Going into the distance, the leaves get lighter. Remember, if it is that they are not dark enough for the first one, you can come back over them and darken them some more. So as they go into the distance, they get a little bit lighter. Remember that. Going in the distance, they get a little bit lighter. Going in the distance, they get a little bit lighter. They're almost there. They are almost there. they get a little bit lighter coming to this one. Alright, so as much as possible, keep your shading in one direction, and you can always come back and you can always go over stuff that is there that we have left out. So if the tree leaves weren't dark enough, you can always come back over that. But we want to make sure that our leaves are darker, the ones nearest to us, the leaves are darker. Now the leaves that are right behind this tree, once you lighten it, it will appear that it is in front, right? Once you lighten it, even although it seems like they are touching here, once you lighten it, it will seem as if they are in front, and that's the way we want it to seem. So I'm going to switch now to my 2B pencil with this. I don't want it to appear to be close to this one, so I switch to my 2B pencil, and I am putting in these leaves because I want it to appear lighter. So I switch to my 2B or 3B, whatever. If you only have one pencil, then you just make it lighter. Alright, so for me, I'm gonna let me try this is my 3B. Alright, nice, nice. I see you're getting there with it as well. Very good. Very good. So you must be able to feel the distance going. So this one that is closest to me here, I think it can be a little bit darker with the leaves. So I'm going to do that with the leaves, getting it a little bit darker so that it comes away from this one that is there. I want it to be very obvious that this is what is happening. Alright, so I'm not thinking yet of anything like shadows or where my light is coming from per se. I'm just getting what contrast. Another element of art, sorry, not element, but a principle of art is what is called contrast. One of the things that I note is that some people as well, you don't have enough leaves on the trees that you're creating. Some people, the leaves are very scarce or very scanty. So make sure you can add some more. So for example, I could add some more leaves like here, making it a little bit more, although none wasn't there before. But you can actually add so that your tree don't look too like something is wrong with it. Alright, so we add a little bit more leaves to this tree. We're getting there. How are you looking? Test your work and see how you're looking. You're supposed to be looking good. Adding some more of these. So we wanted to see that this is the darkest one. Then this one is not as dark, but it's darker than this one that is here. Alright, make sure that you get that going. Alright, so we just want to make sure that that is in the way. Now, the next thing that we want to do is that we want to show the ground. The ground it's the same as the road. As it goes in the distance, the ground gets lighter going in the distance. So from here you can just swing your pencil across, right across everything. So the darkest area is going to be right down here, but as it goes in the distance, it gets lighter moving up to where we have our ears down there. So it's darkest closest to here is darkest, but just like the road, as it goes away from you, it gets lighter going towards the mountain. Alright, make sure. And in this case, you don't have to aim too much for it to be too smooth, smoothly done, because road ground surface is not usually all that smooth. It kind has unevenness about it. So that is one of the things that you don't have to worry about too much as it goes this way. And remember now, all of this is horizontal, so it's darker down here, but as it goes in the distance, it gets lighter. Alright, darker closest to you, but as it goes in the distance, it gets lighter. And you do the same thing over on this side. It is darker closest to here, and you can just run everything straight across like this. Don't lean, don't lean, don't lean. Straight across. So everything is straight across. And it gets lighter as you go in the distance until you reach up towards the hills. Alright, so it's lighter toward the hills. So it gets gradually lighter going towards the hills. So it's darkest down here just like the road, but we don't want it as dark as the road because we want a difference between the road and the grass. So we want to keep the grass a little bit lighter than the road here itself. Alright, then we are going to move down towards the mountain. Now we're going to touch the road a little bit, just a little bit more, to make sure that the road is somewhat, we can see the distinction between the road and the grass section that is over here. Alright, so we make the distinction. Now the hills are going to be a little bit lighter. It must be lighter. Keep it light. I'm shading it one direction. Keep your hills light. The lightest thing, however, is going to be the sky. The sky you can leave white for now. But the hills are just a little bit. Don't darken the hills too much, please. Do not darken the hills because they are far away from us. If you darken the hills, they are going to come closer. They are going to be mixing up with the trees, and you don't want that. You don't want them to be mixing up with your trees. Very, very important. Do not mix. So don't make them dark. They are lighter than all the trees. Your mountains are lighter than all your trees because they are the furthest thing here away from it. Now this tree, I'm going to make this tree a little bit darker so that it comes away from the mountain. Alright, I'm going to make the trees a little bit darker so that it comes away from the mountain. So you must see the distinction between it and the mountain. Now one of the things that we're going to do is that we are going to make we want to know now where the light is coming from. So what I'm going to be doing here is that my light is going to be coming from this side of my composition. So I'm going to darken here. Notice this now. I'm going to darken here my tree. It's more like a shading. So this side of the tree, the leaves are going to be a little bit darker. Here, this side of the leaves are going to be a little bit darker. It is showing me where the light is coming from on my leaves. And here, so when I darken this side of the leaf, it seems like the light is coming from over on this side. Now watch carefully first. before you try to apply this. Alright? Watch carefully first before you try to apply this one. Very, very important. Watch carefully first before you try to apply this one. So when I down over this side of my leaves, it gives me the feeling that my light is coming from over on the right hand side, and that's the feeling that I want to get. So I darken slightly over the left hand side of the leaves, and it gives the feeling that the light is coming from over on this side. Now that's one of the things I want. So go ahead and do your darkening of that side of the leaves. Yes, yes, I see it coming on this side of the leaves. And in this case, you have to make sure you have, like I'm using my, you can use your 6B or your darkest pencil to get this kind of effect. Alright, notice we're not drawing any leaves or anything like this, anything like that. We just are making sure. Alright. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I see you're getting it. Very nice. Make sure you see getting the direction in which your leaves are coming from. Mm-hmm. Coming down to the last of it now. Remember the side that you keep shading in. You keep the darkness now, which you try to get the shadow on this side of the tree. Alright. Now the next thing that we want to get is our shadow. Our shadow. Trees have shadow. Now the shadows, since the light is shining this way, the shadows are going to fall on this side of the ground. Alright. Now keep the shadow, don't widen it too much. And the shadow is going to be darkest, closest towards the base of the tree. So right here towards the foot of the tree. Don't put it on the side, don't put it right in the middle of the tree here. Alright? And then we are gonna give it like the top of the tree now a little bit wider right here, but it's going to be lighter coming out to here. So it's darkest here because it is closer to the tree. So the closer to the tree and then fades outward to here. So there's a fading of it. So it's closest towards here, darkest, but as it comes here now it's going to be narrow because it's going away from it. So you can widen the shadow because it's far, so it's lying flat. Please, the closer it is to you, the wider it is. Do not widen it down here. So it gets narrow going down, narrow going down, and lighter as well. Why it is lighter? Because it's further away from you. Remember that. Over on this side, you're going to do the same thing. It's a little bit wider with the trees that are closer to you. Alright? And darker at the root, about the same feeling. But as it goes away from you, it gets lighter. As they go away in the distance, they get narrower and lighter. Please do not widen the trees in those instances. Alright, do not widen them in those instances. Now, there's another version to this that we will do another version to this that we will do, and that is now the shadow. The trees actually have shadows by themselves as well. So here you will darken this side of the tree um, for the shadow effect. You will now darken this side of the tree, and we are not putting in any detail, just for you to understand this side of the tree for the shadow to take place, because the light, now you want to show that light is not only shining on the leaves, but it is shining on the tree trunk as well. Mhm. Here I'm gonna go to my 4B pencil, and remember this side of the tree we are going to put, showing that the light is shining on the tree. And remember up here is a little bit darker. Yes. Here, this side of the tree, the light is not shining on. Remember that, on this side. So remember this side of the tree that the light is not shining on. It's part of the root. Remember. So this side shadow a little bit darker. Mhm. And then you are going to go over here and you are going to do the same on this side of the tree, a little bit darker. This side, and this side, keep it on the, this side is now the left hand side. And that in the left hand side of the tree, keep it on that side. Left hand side, keep the shadow here. And down here, you leave out that part. Mm-hmm. You can keep the shadow here. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to right here what I just did. And here, mm-hmm. And down right here. Pay attention, stop your video, go back and watch. Which side you darken. Stop. Come around. Remember, don't join the darken right here. Stop right here with it. This side of the tree right here. Mm-hmm. Up on the here can be a little bit darker, because you remember I tell you the light, the leaves are covering the tree here, so you can darken underneath here a little bit more where the tree goes up under the leaves. Yes, you can darken there a little bit. Always remember the side of the tree that the shadow is coming from. You can switch your pencil if it's getting a little bit too dark on you. You can switch as you go in the distance. Remember this side again. On this side, we are going to make darker. Yeah, coming down. This side of the tree. Keep the Left hand side a little bit darker. The right hand side is where your light is coming from. And then on you leave here is where your shadow is. As your tree goes in the distance, it gets lighter. Always remember that. So we are keeping the shadow on the left hand side of the tree. Keep your shadow on the left hand side of the tree. Almost there. And there your trees get lighter as well as they go in the distance. You have to remember that. Keep your shadow on the left hand side of the tree. And basically for now, this is what you are gonna have for your mountains. You can just a little bit to show some variety in the mountains, where we can do some things like this to show like you have where this light is coming from. You have lights on the mountains, so you can actually do something like this and give you a little impression that some places on the mountain you have light is shining, and some place right there, come here, and you give a feeling. Leave your sky white. Please do not put any sun and darken the mountains too much. Um, and basically, this is something we are to the end of this video, just for putting on your finishing touch, and then you can post this again in your Google Classroom, and I will mark it. So basically, this is what you have as a finished version. Just to make a little distinction between the road and the thing, but remember that the road gets lighter as it goes in the distance. That's one thing you have to remember, guys, that everything gets lighter, even the ground, as it goes in the distance. Very, very important that you remember that as it goes in the distance, it gets lighter. You can always go over things just to make sure you add a little bit more there. But thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to the video, and post your work in the Google Classroom. Thank you very, very much.